Hey, this is Rod with HR Richter Farm, and we are out here going to start a bee trap out today. It's a little over a month ago, these bees moved into this camper. And there's no real good way to get the bees out of here without destroying the front of the fiberglass shell. So we opted to do, instead of trying to do a cutout, is do a trap out. And what a trap out is we're gonna modify the front entrance of this hive to where they can only go in and out a hole that we choose. And once we get them going in and out of that hole here in a couple of days, we're going to put a long cone on it. So this is going to be part one of getting this camper ready for this trap out. Once we get the cone on there, we're going to put a hive on this stand, and the bees are going to come out and they're going to go get their pollen, the nectar. They're going to come back here, and hopefully they'll be trapped outside. They'll be locked out of the house, and eventually, within a few hours, they'll smell this hive with the brood in it, and they'll go to that hive. And so all the bees that are in here will eventually go in here. Now, meanwhile, inside, those bees are going to be like, hey, there's no more nectar, there's no more food coming in. We need to produce more bees. So they're going to start using up the supplies inside this camper. So it's kind of like siege warfare. We're going to lock them out. We're going to get the bees to accept this hive as the new hive, as their new home. And we're going to run this hive out of food. Eventually, a small number of bees and the queen will come out and they'll swarm, but there's hardly any way to save them unless you watch them come out. So, the first two steps are going to be sealing this crack all the way around with some steel wool. It's actually pot scrubber that you get from the dollar store for $1 a pack. We're going to shove that up in there, and then we're going to Gorilla Tape around it so that the bees can't get in, so they can't chew through the tape. That's why we're using the steel. It's expanded steel, expanded copper, any kind of pot scrubber. Coarse steel wool would work. Caulk will work, but bees, once they get trapped inside, they panic and they start trying to find a way out. So about every 3 days from here, for another maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to come over here, drive by, and make sure they haven't found another way out. I have had bees go up to 15 feet from the original entrance in an old cypress tree to find a new way into their hive. So it's a long process. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. But once we finish, we should end up with maybe some dry comb in here, but all the honey and all the pollen is going to be used up, and all of these bees that you see flying out in front of me, they're eventually going to accept a new hive as their home. We'll build that hive up. I'll feed that hive every 3 days when I come, and we'll basically move those bees from the hive that's in this camper to the hive that we want to move them in, that we can take them back to our farm with. Now, we have to bring a hive over here that has a queen in it, or at least eggs in it, because the queen is going to stay in here, and she's going to be laying eggs like a madman, trying to catch up with the population loss. So I have a small hive that we got from a swarm that was back in early May, and it's doing pretty good, but it's kind of chimneyed up inside of its hive, and we're going to get it in a hive and bring it over. So it has a working queen. It's just a small hive that's not quite catching up. All of our May of 2025 was cold and rainy. It was one of the cooler, rainier Mays that I've ever seen. When I start to do a trap out, I like to do them when you got some sunshine. You got about a week. The bees are going to have sunshine. They're going to be out flying. They're going to be doing their normal bee thing, because when it's cold or it's rainy, a lot of times bees will stay inside the hive, and you don't really get the effect of the trap out. But we've got good hot weather coming, good sunshiny weather coming. One day of maybe it's going to have some rain out of the next 10. And so we're going to start getting these bees ready. So I'm going to get suited up, because once I start drilling a hole and shoving stuff in their current entrance, they're not going to be too happy. So we'll see you back in just a second. So as you can see, I've got the steel wool shoved up into the crevice. This is not their main entrance. They're mainly coming out of the front and out of the north side. So we started with the least populated side, and we're just going to put a piece of tape to keep our steel in place. We'll gorilla tape that up a little better before we get finished. Now comes the fun part in the front. This is the point where the bees are going to start realizing that something is not right, and they may get a little pissy. But we've smoked them pretty well. When we first got here, we should have taken a little bit of video, because boy, they were running in and out. They had pollen on their legs. They were really getting after it. They're nice and tight. Come around this side and do the same. That one might take a little bit more. So you can see all the bees starting to stack up out there. They're real confused about what the heck's going on with their brand new camper. Get too angry, we're going to smoke and tape that. And as you can see, they're starting to stack up and look. They're looking for places to go, and they're not finding that entrance. And that's the action that's going to let us trap them out, because they fly and they go back to where they first see sunlight. So when we put a cone on it, we're going to drill a hole right here, and when we put a cone on it, they're going to come out, see the sunshine through that 1/8 inch mesh, and they're going to come out the end of the cone, but then they're going to go back. The cone usually has to be about 18 inches long, about 18 to 20 inches, and they won't find a way back in. Come on, bees. Girls. Here. Yeah. So now we're going to make them a new entrance, one that we can control, using a 1-inch hole saw. Yep.
You're on.
So our new hole, we can go up in it, and we can see the bees are there. And that's what we need. With the exception of a little bit more taping, a little bit more securing of the entrance here, that is all that there's going to be to step one of doing a trap out. We're going to wait and we're going to watch, and we're going to wait till they start using this hole as their entrance and their exit, which should take a couple of days. After that, we'll bring out a new hive. So come back for part 2, and thanks for stopping by HR Richter Farms, and God bless. So we've got it all taped up now. We've got it all the way around here, and if we scroll around to the back side, you'll see the back side of that. We just decided to go ahead and make sure that it was bee tight all the way around, save ourselves the headache. And that's one of the things with a trap out, is if they find a way in and out, they start resupplying and building back up their supplies, and it sets your trap out back by so many days. But as you can see, these bees are starting to come in and out of this new entrance, and within a day or two, that'll be their new entrance. And when that happens, then we can put our cone on and start the trap out.
A few moments later.